Ladies, have you ever looked at a man, maybe the guy you're dating, maybe the partner you've been with for years, and thought, why do men say they want love, but act so distant the moment I start giving it? Or maybe you've said to yourself, I'm loyal, I'm supportive, I'm caring, I show up. Why isn't it enough? If you've ever felt that frustration, that confusion, that moment where you whisper in your mind, what do men really want? Then you're about to hear something that will change the way you understand men forever. Because here's the truth that almost nobody tells women over 50. Men aren't pulling away because you're doing something wrong. They're pulling away because you're not giving them what they're silently starving for. Not because you don't want to, but because no one ever taught you what those needs actually are. Because men don't talk about them. They hide them behind pride, behind silence, behind that I'm fine expression they use to avoid vulnerability. And here's what's even more surprising. These needs have nothing to do with age, beauty, competition, or trying harder. They are emotional triggers that most women, even brilliant, wise, experienced women, simply don't know exist. In fact, 95% of women unintentionally miss these needs, not because they don't care, but because men never admit them. But when a woman finally understands them, when she gives a man these 3 emotional nutrients, she becomes unforgettable. She becomes the woman he invests in, the woman he chooses, the woman he protects, cherishes, and never wants to lose. So today, I'm going to reveal the 3 desperate needs men have in a relationship that almost no woman gives. And once you understand these, everything shifts. Ladies, I want you to hear this with an open heart, because this is one of the most misunderstood emotional needs men have even grown. Mature men who have lived long lives, raised families, built careers, survived heartbreaks, and seen the world change again and again. Even at 50, 60, 70, a man still carries inside him that quiet, unspoken desire to feel like he matters to the woman he loves. Not because you need him to survive, not because you can't do life on your own. You absolutely can. Many of you have been doing it for decades. But because being needed in some small, meaningful way is how a man connects. That's how he feels bonded, valuable, purposeful. It's how he subconsciously identifies his place in your life. Men today know women don't need rescuing. You've built your own income, raised your own children, handled your own home, and navigated life with strength most men deeply respect. The modern woman is independent, powerful, wise, and experienced. And yet here's the paradox. Even the strongest woman can make a man feel emotionally irrelevant without ever meaning to. And when a man feels irrelevant, he withdraws, not because he doesn't love you, but because he can't feel where he fits anymore. A man doesn't need you to shrink yourself or pretend you're helpless. He doesn't need you to give up your independence or downplay your achievements. What he needs, what he desperately craves, is the sense that in some small way, you choose to make space for him, that you allow him to contribute something to your life, big or small. It might be something as simple as asking his advice, letting him fix something, valuing his perspective, or letting him help even when you could easily do it faster yourself. You're not feeding his ego, you're giving him emotional purpose. Because inside every man, even those with grey hair and grown kids, there is still a part of him that wants to feel strong in your eyes. Not physically strong, emotionally strong. It might be the moment you ask him, what do you think about this? Or can you help me with this? Or I really appreciate when you do that. That moment tells him you matter here. And men stay loyal to the places where they feel they matter. Many women over 50 fall into a pattern without realizing it. They've spent years doing everything themselves. They're used to managing, organizing, leading, solving. So they move through relationships with that same energy. But sometimes that energy unintentionally tells a man, I don't need you. Not in words, but in the atmosphere of the relationship. And a man starts to feel like his role is shrinking. That's when he disconnects quietly, emotionally, almost invisibly. This is why so many women say, why did he become distant when I was trying so hard to be strong and low maintenance? Because being low maintenance is not what a man wants. What he wants is impact, contribution, a place to stand, a way to show up for you. When he feels that, something shifts in him. He becomes more affectionate, more open, more expressive. He starts investing emotionally, not because you demanded it, but because his heart feels needed again. Let me tell you something powerful. The older a man gets, the more this need intensifies. A young man is trying to prove himself to the world. A mature man is trying to feel valued by the woman he loves. At this stage of life, men don't need drama, stress, games, or power struggles. They just need to feel like they still matter, that their presence is appreciated, that you still see the good in them, even if the world has become harsher, quieter, or lonelier for them. And when a woman masters this, when she lets him contribute, when she expresses genuine appreciation, when she shows him he still brings something meaningful to her life, she awakens a version of him that many women never get to see. She unlocks his protectiveness, his loyalty, his tenderness, his passion, and his devotion. Because a man who feels purposeful is a man who becomes emotionally safe to love. So the next time he offers help, don't wave it away. The next time he shares his perspective, lean in. The next time he does something small, appreciate it loudly. Let him stand beside you in his own way. Because when you allow a man to feel like your hero, not because you need one, but because you choose one, that's when he gives you the love you've always deserved. If there is one thing women over 50 don't get enough credit for, it's emotional strength. You've lived through chapters that forced you to grow, adapt, survive, and stand tall. You've had to hold families together, manage crises, disappointments, heartbreaks, and responsibilities that nobody else would take on. You've learned how to communicate, how to express yourself, how to articulate your feelings, and how to navigate a lifetime of emotional ups and downs. But here's the twist. Even though you've mastered emotional expression, most men, especially men over 50, are still terrified of emotional intensity. Not because they don't care, not because they're cold, not because they lack depth, but because they've spent their entire lives being conditioned to avoid anything that feels like emotional conflict. And this is where the misunderstanding begins. Men don't run from love. They run from emotional chaos, real or perceived. By the time a man reaches his 50s, he's likely been through more emotional burnout than he will ever admit. He may have lived through a divorce where communication turned into shouting. He may have been with a partner who weaponized emotions, or a relationship where everything became an argument. He may have grown up in a home where vulnerability was punished, belittled, or ignored. He may have worked decades in environments where he had to stay composed no matter what was happening internally. Add to this the pressure of being the strong one, the expected provider, the steady anchor, and you start to see why emotional peace becomes his deepest craving. At this stage of his life, he's not chasing drama, adrenaline, or emotional roller coasters. He's craving calm, but not silence. Calm. He wants a woman who knows how to talk without attacking, who knows how to express without exploding, who knows how to disagree without destroying, who knows how to bring softness back into conversations, even the uncomfortable ones. This doesn't mean you have to hold back your emotions. It doesn't mean you need to walk on eggshells. It doesn't mean suppressing your truth. What it means is that your emotional tone matters more than you think. A man doesn't need emotional perfection. He needs emotional safety. A man over 50 wants a partner who is emotionally grounded enough that he can finally let down the armor he's been wearing for decades. But he will never open that door if every conversation feels like pressure, accusation, or emotional volatility. The older he gets, the more exhausted he becomes from emotional battles. And that exhaustion makes him shut down quickly when he senses conflict coming. Think about it this way. Men don't get overwhelmed by emotions themselves. They get overwhelmed by feeling responsible for someone else's emotions. When a woman communicates in a way that says, "You upset me, and it's your job to fix it," he closes off. When she communicates in a way that says, "I want to work through this together," he opens. Men don't fear feelings, they fear failure. And emotional conflict is the one place they feel most likely to fail. That's why the woman who creates emotional peace becomes unforgettable to him. Not because she never expresses frustration, not because she never gets upset, but because she communicates in a way that doesn't make him feel attacked or inadequate. It's the difference between You never listen to me. And can I share something with you? I want us to understand each other better. Or you don't care about my feelings. And when you said that, it really hurt. And I want to tell you why. Or you always avoid conversations. And can we talk about something? I promise I'm not here to fight. That tone, warm, calm, inviting, changes everything for a man. Because emotional peace for men doesn't mean no emotions. It means emotions delivered in a way that feels safe, loving, and respectful. When a man finds a woman who communicates like that, he starts to relax in her presence. He lets his guard down. He opens up. He becomes more affectionate, more vulnerable, more transparent. He starts sharing parts of himself he hasn't shown anyone in years. He becomes more consistent, more loving, more intentional. Men are not emotionally shallow. They are emotionally cautious. And the woman who understands that becomes the woman he clings to. When he sees that she can express her needs without attacking him, when she can talk through issues without escalating them, when she shows understanding instead of instant criticism, when she brings warmth instead of tension, he feels home. Men don't leave the place where they feel home. You don't have to be soft all the time. You don't have to avoid conflict. You don't have to suppress anything real. You simply have to show him that his emotional world is safe with you, that you won't tear him down when he's vulnerable, that you won't create storms around things that can be handled with calm clarity, that you're willing to have hard conversations with presence, not pressure. And here's the magic. When a man feels emotional peace, he becomes the kind of man women dream of. He becomes present, he becomes generous, he becomes expressive, he becomes affectionate, he becomes loyal in a way that feels effortless, because peace unlocks the best version of him. And when you give a man that kind of emotional environment, he gives you everything he's been holding back. There is a truth about men that almost no one talks about, and yet it influences nearly every relationship, especially for men over 50. Men don't just want to be loved, they want to be wanted. And this is the need that goes unmet most often, not because women don't care, but because women show love in ways that don't always translate as desire to a man. Women, especially mature women, express commitment, loyalty, care, nurturing, and emotional presence. But those expressions, while beautiful, don't answer the question that silently lives in every man's mind. Do you still want me? See, love is comforting, but desire is energizing. Love is safe, desire is magnetic. Love is steady, desire is alive. A man can feel your love in your actions, your support, your patience, but he feels your desire through your eyes, your touch, your tone, your appreciation for him as a man, not just as a partner. Men may not say this out loud, but they crave it. And as men get older, this craving becomes even stronger because they carry insecurities they rarely speak about. When a man reaches his 50 seconds or 60 seconds, he begins to question things internally. Am I still attractive? Do women still find me desirable? Do I still have the masculine spark I once had? Has age made me invisible? He won't say it. He'll joke about his hairline, shrug off his weight, laugh about his back pain. But underneath those jokes is a private desire to still feel wanted, to still feel chosen, to still feel like he lights something up in you. And here's the heartbreaking part. Most women are not failing him. They're simply expressing affection in ways he interprets as emotional comfort, not romantic excitement. You might cook for him, check in on him, support him, encourage him, spend time with him, and think, isn't that enough to show him I care? But men don't interpret that as desire, they interpret that as companionship. Desire for a man is something different. It is when you look at him with admiration, when you compliment him softly, when you touch him unexpectedly, when you lean in a little closer, when you say a small sentence that makes him feel like he still has it. Desire happens in the micro moments that make him feel masculine, attractive, valued, not just emotionally, but physically and energetically. Women over 50 often stop doing these things not because they don't want to, but because life has made them cautious. Maybe you were hurt before. Maybe your affection was taken for granted. Maybe you learned to protect your heart. Maybe you became the caretaker for so long that sensual energy got pushed aside. Maybe you've been single for years and forgot what flirting even feels like. Maybe you fear being too much or too forward. But here's what you must understand. Showing desire doesn't make you desperate. It makes you unforgettable. Men don't get more confident with age. They get quieter about their insecurities. And a woman who still shows attraction to him becomes a breath of fresh air in a world that often makes older men feel invisible. He doesn't need grand gestures. He needs small signals that say, you still do something to me. A simple "you look handsome today" can make a man stand taller for a week. A gentle touch on his chest when you're talking can make him melt. Holding his gaze an extra second longer can make him feel youthful again. Smiling at him like he's charming, you can unlock parts of him he hasn't used in years. Saying, "I love when you," can give him more confidence than anything he's heard in a decade. And here's the real magic. When a man feels desired, everything else in the relationship improves automatically. He becomes more affectionate, more emotionally open, more attentive, more giving, more romantic. When he feels like you want him, not just tolerate him or love him out of habit, he starts showing up in ways you didn't even ask for. Desire is the spark that activates his masculinity. It makes him feel alive. It makes him feel capable. It makes him feel like he's not just your partner, he's your man. And when a woman over 50 brings that energy, it surprises him in the best possible way. Because men don't expect women their age to flirt, initiate, appreciate, or express attraction openly. So when you do, it feels rare, special, precious, irresistible. And here's something incredibly important. Desire is not about sex. It is about energy. A man can feel wanted without you ever taking your clothes off. He feels wanted in the way you look at him, the way you talk to him, the way you lean in, the way you appreciate him, the way you let him feel masculine in your presence. The woman who understands this, the woman who knows how to make a man feel chosen, how to make him feel seen as a man, how to make him feel desirable, becomes the woman he pours into, invests in, protects, cherishes, and never lets go. Because love may bond a man, but desire binds him. And when you give a man that spark, when you remind him he still excites you, he will give you a level of affection, commitment, passion, and emotional devotion that will make you wonder why no one taught you this sooner. Ladies, if there's one thing I want you to walk away with from this entire message, it's this. Men are not complicated. They're just quiet, and their deepest needs are hidden beneath silence, pride, and years of emotional conditioning. When you understand these three desperate needs, the need to feel like he matters, the need for emotional peace, and the need to feel wanted, not just loved, you don't just become another woman in his life. You become the woman he never wants to lose. Because a man doesn't stay for beauty. He doesn't stay for convenience. He doesn't stay because he has someone. He stays where he feels alive, valued, respected, desired, and emotionally safe. And here's the truth. Age does not reduce your power. It amplifies it. Women over 50 hold a form of feminine strength that is unmatched. You have wisdom, calm, emotional maturity, confidence, experience, and a depth that younger women haven't lived long enough to earn. When you combine that with a man's hidden needs, you become magnetic. So if you've ever questioned whether your best years are behind you, let this be your reminder. Your best love story might still be waiting for you. Your greatest connection might still be ahead of you. And the version of you today, the woman who has lived, loved, learned, and evolved, is the version of you a real man is praying to meet. Now, if this message spoke to your heart, if it made something click inside you, if you found yourself saying, "This is exactly what I needed to hear today," then make sure you hit that like button, because it tells YouTube this kind of content matters. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next message, because we are just getting started. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these three needs surprised you the most? Which one do you think men hide the hardest? Your comment might inspire another woman just like you. Ladies, Remember this,